Chosen one, listen to me carefully. This is not just another video. This is not just another message floating around in the noise of the world. This is your divine message from the universe, chosen by God Himself to reach you at the exact moment you need it most. I need you to understand that nothing about this moment is random. Nothing about you being here is coincidence. You have been drawn to this message by a force far greater than you can imagine. This is divine alignment. The fact that your eyes are on these words right now is proof that the universe has been orchestrating circumstances behind the scenes just to place this truth before you. Before we go any further, I want you to do something important. If you feel this message stirring something deep inside your spirit, if you feel a pull, a strange sense of knowing, I want you to confirm it right now. Type 777 in the comments below. Yes, right now. Type it boldly, because this is a declaration that you recognize divine timing at work in your life. And while you're here, make sure to subscribe, tap the bell icon, and stay connected to this sacred space. This channel is not for everyone. It's for the called, the awakened, the chosen. It's for you. And before we go deeper into this revelation, I want to pause and say something from the depths of my spirit. Thank you to every single one of you who has supported this space through super thanks. Your giving is not just a gesture, it's a seed of faith, a seed of alignment, a seed that helps keep this divine message reaching others who are just waking up to the truth of who they are. Whether you give or not, please know this: you are valued, honored, and loved here. Your presence is already a gift, and your energy is part of this unfolding. Chosen one, you have felt it for a long time, haven't you? That quiet yet undeniable voice inside, that strange pull you cannot explain to those around you, that sense that you were meant for something greater, something beyond the ordinary existence. It's not your imagination, it's your calling. And the universe, along with divine guidance, has led you here to remind you of exactly who you are. This message has come to you because heaven's timing is never late, and it is never early. It arrives exactly when you are ready to receive it. You might have been going through confusion, or maybe you've been feeling lost in the middle of your journey, questioning if the path you are walking is the right one. Let me tell you today, with full authority and certainty, you're on the right path. You're walking towards your divine purpose, and this message is the signpost you've been praying for. I want you to breathe deeply as you hear these words. Feel the weight of them, not in your mind alone, but deep in your spirit. You are a chosen one. You are chosen by God. And because of that, the universe works differently in your life. Ordinary rules do not apply to you. Timing in your life does not follow the world's calendar. Divine timing governs your journey, and right now, that timing has led you here. This moment is sacred. Treat it as such. The distractions of the world can wait. Give yourself fully to this message, because it holds the wisdom your soul has been longing for. Understand that the universe has a way of reaching us when we are most ready to hear. Right now, you are ready. That's why you are here. As we go deeper into this divine revelation, keep your heart open. Let the words speak beyond the noise of the day-to-day. This is not just guidance. This is a spiritual awakening unfolding before you. God's chosen ones, this is your divine message from the universe. Hear it now. Chosen one, let's begin with the truth you've always sensed. There has always been something different about you. It's not just your dreams, your sensitivity, or your ability to see what others overlook. It's the divine whisper that's followed you since childhood, the internal compass that pulled you away from certain paths and gently guided you toward others. Perhaps you didn't always understand it, but that presence was never random. You've been asking, is this truly God? Is the universe actually speaking to me? And now the answer arrives not just in words, but in confirmation. Yes, chosen one, it is. You have been receiving signs all along. You were just waiting for permission to believe that they were real. You've noticed the patterns, the repeating numbers on clocks, the dreams that seem to carry more weight than the day they followed, the way certain conversations linger in your spirit long after they've ended. These are not coincidences, they are spiritual codes. You've been trained to think they're just your imagination, but the truth is, your imagination is one of your greatest spiritual tools. Think about it. Why would God give you this level of awareness if you weren't meant to use it? Why would you sense danger before it arrives, or feel peace in certain places before you even know why? Chosen one, you are not operating on the same frequency as everyone else because you were never meant to. Remember the story of Elijah in 1 Kings 19:12. He looked for God in the wind, the earthquake, and the fire. But God was in the still, small voice. That's how the divine often reaches the chosen. Not in loud disruptions, but in quiet recognitions. So ask yourself, have you been listening to the whisper, or have you been waiting for the thunder? Because the divine won't compete with the noise of the world. It will simply keep speaking in truth, hoping you'll slow down enough to hear it. Sometimes you've doubted yourself. You've wondered if you were overthinking things, if your intuition was just anxiety in disguise. But chosen one, here's what you must understand. Not everyone is wired to feel what you feel. Your perception is a gift, not a flaw. It's how heaven speaks to you. Florence Scovel Shinn once said that when you're about to birth something divine, the entire universe rearranges itself to help you deliver it. So, if your life has felt heavy, unpredictable, or strangely directed, could it be because you're being spiritually positioned for something greater than logic can explain? When the prophet Samuel was a child, he heard the voice of God calling his name. At first, he didn't recognize it. It took Eli to tell him what was happening. "Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening," he finally said in 1 Samuel 3:10. How many times has God called your name and you mistook it for something else? A gut feeling, a strange coincidence, a dream that haunted you. But what if it was the beginning of your own Samuel moment? The beginning of clarity. You are not here by accident. You are hearing this now because you're finally ready to hear your name clearly, without fear, without doubt, without delay. And let us not forget, the universe often uses vessels. God speaks through people, situations, and even media like this message. It may come through a conversation with a stranger, a random passage in a book, or a video that you just happened to find. But there are no accidents when you are chosen. What the world calls luck is often divine scheduling. When Tyler Perry was at his lowest point, broke, homeless, rejected, he heard a voice telling him not to give up. It didn't make sense. Nothing in his environment supported that kind of faith, but he obeyed the whisper anyway. That whisper turned into a legacy. It's not that he was lucky, it's that he listened. If your life has felt unsettled lately, it's because you're being transitioned from one level of spiritual identity to another. You are being called out of confusion and into confirmation. But to walk in that, you must trust what you're hearing. You must honor the nudges, the signs, the gut instincts. The Holy Spirit is subtle but persistent. It doesn't force, it invites. And the more you say yes to its invitations, the louder and clearer it becomes. John 10:27 records Jesus saying, "My sheep listen to my voice. I know them, and they follow me." Chosen one, that is you. That is why the noise of this world frustrates you so much, because you are wired to follow a voice most people don't even hear. But that doesn't make you wrong. It makes you aligned. And your alignment is exactly what the enemy has tried to confuse. That's why the distractions have increased. That's why certain relationships suddenly fell apart. That's why your usual comforts no longer feel comfortable, because you're not being punished, you're being positioned. Joan of Arc once said, "I'm not afraid. I was born to do this." And she was, though few believed her. She was ridiculed for claiming she heard divine instruction, yet her obedience turned her into a legend. Like you, she was misunderstood, not because she was broken, but because she was activated before her time. Chosen one, how many people in your life have tried to delay your calling simply because they couldn't understand it? How many times have you silenced your gift to make others feel comfortable? This is the season where your silence must become sound, where your private wisdom must become public light. But to do that, you have to trust your divine compass. You were not made to live in confusion. Psalm 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." That means answers come not through panic, but through peace. What if what you're missing isn't clarity, it's stillness? What if the next instruction is already waiting for you, but it requires you to turn down the noise, close the tabs in your mind, and simply be? Take a walk. Sit in silence. Write down the dreams that wake you at 3 a.m. Pay attention to the strangers who say things that feel like they were meant just for you. That's how the universe speaks. It doesn't need to explain itself. It only needs you to trust. Because the moment you do, everything begins to move. Nikola Tesla once said that if you want to understand the secrets of the universe, think in terms of frequency and vibration. He wasn't just talking science, he was talking spirit. Chosen one, your frequency has been rising. That's why you felt detached from old environments. That's why certain people no longer feel aligned. It's not because you're broken, it's because you're evolving. What if your spiritual discomfort is actually divine promotion? Remember how Moses heard his call? In Exodus 3:4, God called to him from a burning bush. At first, it was just an unusual sight, but when Moses turned to look, God spoke. What if your burning bush moment is already here? And all that's left is for you to stop, notice, and say, "Here I am." And when you do, the veil lifts, the confusion breaks, and the divine plan begins to accelerate. You were never meant to live a muted life. You were meant to respond to divine cues with bold obedience. And every time you listen, every time you act on what you feel, every time you say yes to that inner tug, heaven moves. Chosen one, it's time to stop shrinking into what the world expects and rise fully into what heaven has already declared about you. You are not like the others, and you never have been. While many move through life searching for validation or chasing titles, your soul has always known that your name was written in higher places. But perhaps no one ever looked you in the eye and told you this truth. Your identity is not something you're figuring out, it's something you're remembering. You were chosen, not by popularity, not by convenience, but by divine assignment. Before you ever took your first breath, the heavens had already marked your life with sacred significance. Jeremiah 1:5 speaks clearly. So, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. This means that nothing about you is random, not your sensitivity, not your strength, not your timing. Every detail of your makeup was designed to carry something eternal into temporary spaces. Perhaps you've spent years wondering why you felt like an outsider, even in rooms filled with people who said they loved you. Why you could sense dishonesty before a word was spoken, or why the weight of the world often sat quietly on your shoulders. That burden, chosen one, was not punishment, it was purpose. You weren't meant to blend in because your essence was created to interrupt darkness. You were wired to bring light where others pretend everything is fine. From the time you were small, you likely knew things you were never taught. While other children played freely, you may have found yourself contemplating questions far beyond your years. What you didn't know then was that spiritual intelligence had already been activated within you. The pain you experienced, the silence you kept, the wisdom that would drop into your spirit, all of it was evidence. You are not here to survive life. You are here to awaken others through how you live it. Even Jesus himself in Luke 22:42 felt the full weight of being chosen when he cried out, "Father, if you are willing, take this cup from me, yet not my will, but yours be done." This moment of divine submission teaches us that the calling is heavy, but holy. You've likely felt the same pull. The weight you carry isn't because you're weak, it's because you're trusted. And that trust comes with refinement. Think of Joseph. His story was one of betrayal, delay, and apparent injustice, sold into slavery, falsely accused, thrown into prison. And yet, Genesis 50:20 reveals the outcome. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. Chosen one, how many moments in your life felt like setbacks, when in truth they were setups for something greater? Your spiritual sensitivity isn't something to suppress, it's something to sharpen. The exhaustion you feel around certain people is not always emotional, it's spiritual. You sense deception not because you're paranoid, but because your spirit is discerning. You walk into a room and feel the energy shift. That is the presence of God within you, recognizing environments your mind hasn't even processed yet. And that's why your circle feels smaller. That's why your alone time feels sacred. Because heaven is preserving your purity. You have been given a divine assignment, and with it comes responsibility. When others are okay with casual living, your spirit won't let you settle. When others compromise, something in you says no. This isn't legalism, it's alignment. You've been chosen to carry the kind of light that exposes what's been hidden. That's why people either feel comforted or convicted in your presence. Harriet Tubman once said, "I never ran my train off the track and I never lost a passenger." She didn't lead with position, she led with divine vision. Her obedience saved hundreds. Yet in her day, many thought she was mad. She followed visions, spiritual downloads, and guidance from a higher realm. Like you, she was underestimated, misunderstood, and misread, but not by heaven. And then there's Nikola Tesla, known for inventions but driven by intuition. He often spoke of how his ideas came to him in flashes, like divine downloads from an invisible source. "If you want to understand the secrets of the universe," he said, "think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration." Tesla's brilliance wasn't only scientific, it was spiritual. He understood that the invisible is more real than the visible. Chosen one, isn't that how your life has felt? Pulled by an unseen force you couldn't always explain, but couldn't deny. In moments when you felt forgotten, it wasn't that God overlooked you, it was that he was hiding you. Like David, anointed in secret, but sent back to the fields. Like Moses, hidden in the reeds before confronting Pharaoh. Like Esther, positioned quietly in the palace until the appointed time. Psalm 46:10 reminds us, "Be still and know that I am God." Sometimes stillness is where he shows you who you really are. Do you feel like you've been walking through life with a crown no one can see? That's because you have. Revelation 3:11 declares, "Hold fast what you have, that no one may take your crown." This crown isn't ornamental, it's functional. It represents authority in realms most people never enter. You were never created for small living, small thinking, or small impact. Even when your reach seems limited, your ripple is felt in eternity. Tyler Perry once said that when he was homeless, sleeping in his car, the only thing that kept him going was a small voice telling him not to give up. That voice became his anchor, and that obedience became his legacy. He didn't wait for people to see him, he followed the voice that already did. That's the path of the chosen, listening before leading, trusting before seeing. Ephesians 2:10 says, "For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do. You've been prepared, chosen one, and everything you've gone through was preparation. The delays, the heartbreak, the closed doors, they weren't punishment, they were positioning. What felt like isolation was really divine incubation. So guard your identity. Don't let comparison make you question your calling. Don't let the noise of the world drown out the voice of your Creator. You weren't made to fit into systems. You were made to redesign them. You weren't made to play along. You were made to rise above. Your voice matters. Your light is needed. And your presence is shifting atmospheres, whether people acknowledge it or not. Florence Scovel Shinn, a powerful spiritual teacher of the early 1900s, once wrote, "There is no peace or happiness for man until he has erased all fear from the subconscious." She taught that the divine constantly communicates with those who dare to listen, and that your outer world always reflects your inner state. If you felt misaligned, what truth have you been resisting? What whisper have you been afraid to obey? Chosen one, have you noticed how the universe seems to speak directly to you, again and again? How certain moments align so precisely that it feels like more than chance? You may not have always had words for it, but deep down, you've known these weren't ordinary coincidences. They were divine communications. You receive them because you carry an assignment that demands a constant connection with the divine. You are not just navigating life. You are following instructions from heaven. When God chooses someone for a mission beyond the ordinary, He does not leave them alone to figure it out. Instead, He opens channels of wisdom through dreams, signs, inner promptings, and spiritual downloads. These are not just moments of inspiration, they are lifelines. They are the language of heaven reaching into your human journey. When you feel a sudden knowing, when clarity strikes at a strange hour, or when a door opens at the exact moment you needed it, that is divine design in motion. That is your Creator guiding you from beyond the veil. Elisha, the prophet, once received divine intelligence about enemy movements, not because he was strategic, but because he was spiritually connected. In 2 Kings 6:12, the king of Aram was told, "Elisha, the prophet who is in Israel, tells the king of Israel the very words you speak in your bedroom." That's the level of divine insight God gives His chosen ones. It's not random, it's not earned by effort, it's granted by grace. And, like Elisha, you too are being positioned to receive strategic revelations that shift atmospheres and change lives. Think about the times you felt nudged to speak a truth no one else wanted to say, the times you walked away from something that looked good on the outside but felt wrong in your spirit. Those moments were not fear or indecision, they were divine direction. You are trusted to move differently, speak differently, and see differently because your impact reaches beyond you. It reaches everyone your obedience touches. When Tyler Perry was living out of his car, long before fame and influence, he felt divine instructions urging him to keep writing. No proof, no applause, just an internal knowing. That knowing became his foundation. The same applies to you. You may not always have visible confirmation, but the whisper is real. It will lead you if you dare to follow it. Chosen one, this level of spiritual communication is a gift, but it's also a responsibility. What you hear is not just for you. You are a vessel. Your obedience becomes someone else's answered prayer. When you act on a divine message, you don't just change your trajectory, you open doors for others. And that is why heaven continues to speak to you with such precision. You are not just walking through life, you are carrying light into spaces that have long been dark. Esther was placed in a palace not for comfort, but for calling. Her divine position came with the responsibility to speak up, even at risk to herself. Mordecai reminded her in Esther 4:14, "Who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this?" You too were born into this generation, not by accident, but by divine strategy. The signs, the whispers, the spiritual clarity, they're all part of equipping you for your such a time as this moment. You're not imagining the weight of your calling. That pull you feel, that's purpose trying to rise through the noise. That's divine alignment realigning you again and again. But in order to walk in full power, you must understand the season you are in. You see, spiritual life, just like the earth, moves through seasons. And until you know where you are, you may misinterpret what's happening to you. Some seasons feel like silence, others feel like fire, but all are intentional. If you are in a season of preparation, don't mistake it for punishment. This is where heaven builds in secret. This is where your roots are going deeper than others can see. David was anointed king but sent back to the fields, not because God forgot, but because the preparation wasn't finished. In the quiet, your wisdom is being sharpened. Your faith is being fortified. Your vision is being purified. Let this hidden season do its holy work. If you're in a season of testing, don't panic. You are not being destroyed. You are being revealed. Testing exposes what is weak, but it also proves what is strong. Job endured such a season. He lost everything, wealth, health, and family, but never lost his connection to God. Job 23:10 says, "But he knows the way that I take. When he has tested me, I will come forth as gold." Like Job, you will not come out of this empty. You will come out refined. And then there are seasons of revelation. This is when things begin to make sense. Prayers are answered not just externally, but internally. You begin to see why things didn't work out before. You understand the meaning behind your restlessness, your redirection, your release. When these moments come, do not dismiss them. Record them, declare them, move with them. Harriet Tubman, even while escaping slavery, received clear spiritual visions, dreams, promptings, guidance from what she called the voice of God. She followed it with unwavering faith and saved hundreds. Her revelation was not based on logic. It was rooted in obedience to the unseen. Your revelation season will demand the same courage. If you're facing unusual pressure, intense attacks, or emotional weight that doesn't seem to match your circumstances, you may be in a season of warfare. That means you're on the edge of breakthrough. That means the territory you're entering threatens darkness, and darkness doesn't attack what doesn't carry light. This is when you rise, not just with determination, but with spiritual strategy. Arm yourself with prayer. Speak scripture aloud. Take authority over the atmosphere. Because as Ephesians 6:12 reminds us, our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the powers of this dark world and the spiritual forces of evil. Then there are seasons of harvest. After obedience, after tears, after stretching, the doors swing open. Opportunities flood in. People begin to recognize the very light they once ignored. This is not your moment to gloat, it's your moment to glorify. This is when humility must meet gratitude. Your harvest is not only for you, it's for those who couldn't make it to the field. Consider Florence Scovel-Shinn. She taught that the harvest appears not when we strive, but when we align. She believed the universe responds most powerfully to faith-filled action. So, in this season of harvest, don't just collect, distribute. Don't just receive, release. Your abundance is evidence of divine trust. And remember, seasons often overlap. You might be reaping while still being refined. You might be receiving insight while still fighting inner battles. God's timing is not linear. It is layered, poetic, and always purposeful. Elon Musk once said that his drive doesn't come from money or recognition, but from a sense of mission, a desire to shift the course of humanity. Though he often speaks in terms of science and progress, the undercurrent is spiritual, vision fueled by higher calling. Like you, chosen one, he senses the weight of an invisible assignment. Your mission too is rooted not in self, but in service. So now the real question becomes, will you stay faithful to your current season? Will you honor it for what it is, rather than rush toward what it's not, yet time to receive? Will you trust that the same God who sent the messages will also lead you through every moment that message requires? Your season is sacred. Let no one rush it. Let no voice outside of heaven define it. Let no delay discourage it. You are moving exactly as you were meant to. And as we move forward, you will begin to understand not only how to respond to divine messages, but how to walk with heaven's authority in every step. The next revelation is already waiting. Stay close, you're just getting started. Chosen one, now that you've begun to understand the nature of divine messages and the season you are walking through, the next question becomes essential. What will you do with what you've been given? Recognizing the voice of heaven is only the beginning. Transformation doesn't happen in the receiving, it happens in the response. This is where your anointing is activated. You were not chosen to merely observe the divine. You were chosen to participate in it. The universe does not speak without purpose. Each message you receive is sent to move something within you and through you. If you felt like your spirit has been stirred more frequently, if signs, dreams, or inner promptings have been growing stronger, it's because heaven is calling for movement. Divine instruction is arriving because divine acceleration is at hand. But the message alone does not shift your life. Your alignment with that message does. The first and often most overlooked response is simply this: pause. Don't rush to act, and don't let anxiety force a reaction. Instead, let the message breathe in your soul. Take time to sit in stillness. Enter into a moment of sacred silence. Reflect deeply. Meditate. Pray. Listen. Often divine revelations carry multiple layers, unfolding slowly as you lean in. When God spoke to Elijah in 1 Kings 19:12, it wasn't through the earthquake or the fire, but through a gentle whisper. That same whisper is what guides you, but it is heard only when you still the chaos. After that stillness comes the call for confirmation. This is not a sign of doubt. It is a sign of reverence. Asking for confirmation acknowledges the weight of the message. Gideon, in Judges 6:36-40, asked God twice to confirm his assignment through a fleece and the morning dew, and God answered both times. Chosen one, the divine respects your desire for certainty. When you humbly request affirmation, you often receive it through recurring numbers, unexpected conversations, scriptures that leap off the page, or symbols that echo your inner question. Don't dismiss these. They are heaven's fingerprints left on your path. When Florence Nightingale felt the call to care for the wounded during the Crimean War, she didn't act recklessly. She sat with the burden. She listened. She sought spiritual assurance, and once confirmed, she obeyed and revolutionized nursing. Her clarity came because she honored the process of pause and confirmation. In your life, the same divine pattern applies. Then, chosen one, comes the moment of alignment. This is where intention becomes integration. It's not enough to know what to do. You must begin to live in alignment with it. If the divine tells you to release what no longer serves your spirit, you must let it go. If it urges you to prepare for something new, make space for it. Change your habits, shift your thoughts, adjust your circle, create room for the promise. Romans 12:2 reminds us, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." Alignment requires an internal reprogramming. This is not a suggestion, it is a demand from the divine. Have you ever wondered why some people hear powerful words yet never see transformation? It's not that the message lacked power, it's that the response lacked alignment. Many receive revelation, but few build a life around it. Don't let your breakthrough be delayed by inaction. What God has shown you is real. What the universe is whispering to you is divine instruction. Let your daily life reflect that. Obedience then becomes the bridge. This is the turning point where the unseen becomes visible. Obedience is rarely easy, but it is always sacred. It requires trust, especially when what you're being asked to do stretches your comfort zone. Abraham, in Genesis 12, was told to leave everything familiar and step into a land he did not know. He didn't have the full picture, but he had a promise, and that was enough. Your obedience will not always come with explanation, but it will always come with presence. God does not abandon those who move with him. When Oprah Winfrey was told to leave her secure local TV job to take a risk on a new show, many thought she was foolish, but she obeyed what she felt in her soul, a divine prompting. That decision not only changed her life, but created space for millions to be impacted through her influence. Obedience creates legacy. Yours will too. And as you obey, carry gratitude with you. Gratitude is not just a spiritual practice, it's a magnet for deeper revelation. It tells the universe, I value the message. I honor the giver. Psalm 104 instructs us to enter his gates with thanksgiving and his courts with praise. When you receive a message, speak your thanks aloud, journal it, pray it. Gratitude keeps your spiritual frequency tuned to the next word. It softens the heart and sharpens the ear. Winston Churchill, known for his leadership during World War II, often gave thanks for inner convictions that guided his choices, even when logic said otherwise. He later wrote that those quiet promptings shaped national destiny. Gratitude grounded him in chaos, and it will ground you too. Another sacred response is sharing. You are not only a receiver, chosen one, you are also a messenger. Some messages are personal, others are meant to flow through you to someone else. When the Spirit nudges you to speak life, encourage, or affirm another soul, don't delay. Your obedience might be the divine confirmation they've been praying for. Paul wrote in 2 Corinthians 1:4 that God comforts us so that we can comfort those in any trouble. You are God's comfort in motion. You are heaven's voice disguised in human form. When Malala Yousafzai survived the attack on her life, she could have chosen silence, but she felt a divine responsibility to speak for girls without voices. Her story became a vessel for global change. So will yours. When the universe prompts you to share, even if your voice trembles, do it. Someone's deliverance may be hidden in your obedience. Stay watchful after each act of divine response. Things shift in the atmosphere when a chosen one moves in alignment. You'll see relationships evolve. Opportunities appear out of nowhere. Sometimes resistance will increase too, as spiritual opposition rises to counter your momentum. Don't be discouraged. Resistance is confirmation. In Ephesians 6:13, we are instructed to put on the full armor of God, so that, having done all, to stand. If the pressure rises, it's only because you've become a threat to darkness. Frida Kahlo, despite her chronic pain, continued to create from a place of truth. Her art shocked, healed, and liberated countless souls. Her resistance didn't break her, it revealed her brilliance. When you feel the spiritual shaking after obedience, do not retreat. Stand tall. Keep moving. Heaven is backing you. Chosen one, responding to divine messages will stretch you, but it will also elevate you. Every time you respond, the next step becomes clearer. Every yes you offer to God's guidance builds a bridge toward your destiny. Do not take this process lightly. Your path has been carved by heaven's hand. Every moment of stillness, every act of alignment, every courageous step of obedience carries eternal weight. So now as you sit with this word, let it stir your soul deeply. Let your heart open wider to the next whisper. You are trusted with messages, not just for yourself, but for nations, beginning with the world around you. You're not walking blindly. You're walking with purpose, and heaven walks with you. You have responded before, and you will respond again, but this time, do it with full awareness of who you are. A chosen vessel, guided from above, aligned with the call of destiny. And the next revelation, chosen one, is already on its way. Stay open, stay obedient, stay ready. Chosen one, I need you to receive this next part, not just with your mind, but with your whole spirit. What you're about to hear is not to scare you, it is to awaken you. Because you are not ordinary, your consequences are not ordinary either. You were chosen, not just for personal glory, but to serve a purpose that carries eternal weight. You hold keys that unlock doors not only for yourself, but for many others tied to your assignment. That is why ignoring the call is more dangerous than you think. You've already seen the persistence of the universe, haven't you? The messages, the inner nudges, the timely encounters that speak directly to your heart. None of it is random. It's heaven reaching out again and again to ensure you don't miss your moment. And yet, the temptation to delay or second-guess remains. Sometimes it feels easier to stay in comfort than to step into calling. But chosen one, comfort without calling is a slow spiritual death. Delay has a cost. The universe doesn't send instructions to entertain you. It sends them to move you, strategically, urgently, and with purpose. When you postpone action, you prolong spiritual wilderness. You find yourself circling the same issues, revisiting the same wounds, staring at doors that won't open. Why? Because the action required to unlock the next phase has not been taken. This isn't punishment, it's spiritual law. The Israelites in Exodus 16 were led out of Egypt but wandered in the desert for 40 years, a journey that could have taken days. Why? Disobedience, delay, rebellion. God was present, yes, but their inability to align with divine instruction kept them in unnecessary struggle. Could it be that the very tension you're feeling now is not from the enemy, but from delay in obedience? Chosen one, divine timing is sacred. You don't get to decide when the window opens. You only get to decide if you'll walk through it. And though grace is real, opportunities are not eternal. Have you ever looked back and said, I should have moved sooner? That wasn't failure, that was clarity, painful but purposeful. Let me tell you this as your spiritual reminder. Do not repeat what you were supposed to learn from. You are not like others who can ignore the voice and still float through life. Your silence has consequence. Your hesitancy creates ripples. You are carrying the weight of people who will never step into destiny unless you do. One of the gravest risks of ignoring divine instruction is spiritual dullness. At first the whispers are clear, but over time, if ignored, they begin to fade, not because the voice has left, but because your spirit has grown numb. You begin to lose sensitivity. You second-guess what you once knew. The sharpness you carried turns into static. Saul, the first king of Israel, was chosen and anointed, but after repeatedly disobeying God's instruction, 1 Samuel 16:1 says that the Lord regretted making Saul king. His downfall wasn't a lack of anointing, it was disobedience. He stopped listening, and eventually the voice stopped speaking. Don't let this be your story. To remain spiritually sharp, you must act promptly. When a word comes, let it move you. When an instruction arrives, follow it without delay. The more you act, the more you hear. The more you trust, the more you're entrusted with. As you respond, your connection deepens. But as you ignore, that connection dulls. Ignoring the call doesn't just affect you, it invites unnecessary struggle. You end up battling storms you were never meant to endure. When you resist alignment, you step out from under divine covering. It's like choosing to walk in a thunderstorm without shelter. drenched by distractions, struck by consequences that were avoidable. But when you obey, the opposite is also true. The universe becomes your shelter. Even in chaos, you are protected. The storms may come, but they do not consume you. Isaiah 43:2 declares, "When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned." That promise is not to those who wander, but to those who obey. Nelson Mandela, imprisoned for 27 years, could have chosen bitterness or silence. But even in confinement, he followed the call of justice. When released, he didn't delay his purpose. He stepped into it immediately. His obedience became a global turning point. Chosen one, who's waiting for your obedience to become their freedom? There are people assigned to your voice. They are waiting on your yes. When you hesitate, their breakthrough stalls. When you say no, their clarity remains locked. You are a spiritual bridge, not just a receiver of light, but a distributor of it. Your life is a message, and when you shut yourself off from divine flow, you don't just block your blessing, you block theirs too. So if your heart is stirring right now, don't ignore that. Let this moment be your realignment. Heaven is waiting for your yes. God does not force submission. He invites partnership, but he will not beg. He will move on if you refuse. That is not rejection, it is urgency. The harvest is too great to wait forever. Chosen one, fear the cost of inaction more than the fear of the unknown. Trust that if God calls you to it, he will sustain you through it. Divine assignment always comes with divine assistance. Psalm 32:8 says, "I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my loving eye on you." If he's guiding you, he's also guarding you. And here is your reward. Yes, you who have obeyed through fear, through silence, through pain, you are not laboring in vain. God has seen your sacrifices. The universe has recorded your loyalty. And now your harvest approaches. Your first reward is peace. Not ordinary peace, the kind that collapses under pressure, but divine peace. A holy stillness that calms your soul even when chaos surrounds you. Philippians 4:7 promises, "The peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." That's the kind of peace reserved for the obedient, the chosen. This peace is not the absence of battle, it is the presence of assurance. It is the quiet confidence that you are where you need to be, doing what you were born to do. You walk into storms knowing they will not consume you. You move through valleys knowing you're not alone. And you rise, not because it's easy, but because peace carries you. With peace comes favor, divine favor. This isn't about luck or manipulation, it's about spiritual alignment. When you walk in obedience, the universe aligns resources, people, and timing around your steps. Doors open that you didn't even know existed. You are remembered in rooms you've never walked in. You are recommended by people you've never met. Why? Because heaven commands it. Ruth, the Moabite woman, followed Naomi to Bethlehem with no plan, no resources, no certainty, but she followed with faith. And in Ruth 2:12, Boaz said to her, "May you be richly rewarded by the Lord, under whose wings you have come to take refuge." Her favor was a result of her faith. The same principle applies to you. The divine will cause people of influence to be drawn to you, not because of who you know, but because of what you carry. You won't need to force connection. Your alignment will speak louder than your resume. Let me remind you of Malala Yousafzai, who stood for girls' education in the face of violence. Her obedience to her mission brought global recognition, but more importantly, it brought systemic change. Her favor wasn't accidental, it followed her courage. And so, chosen one, I end this with a final truth. You were never meant to live a life of hesitation or regret. You were designed for fulfillment, for clarity, for destiny, but that requires your full participation. So, will you answer now? Will you rise when the message calls again? Will you step boldly into what's next, knowing that divine peace and divine favor are already waiting on the other side? Because the next revelation, the one that shifts everything, is almost here. Chosen one, let this be sealed into your soul. Divine obedience never goes unrewarded. Every sacrifice, every quiet yes, every moment you resisted fear and walked in faith has not gone unnoticed. Heaven has been recording. The universe has been aligning. And now the rewards of the faithful are beginning to unfold, not as compensation, but as confirmation. One of the most sacred rewards awaiting you is divine protection. There are battles you never had to fight because heaven fought them for you. There are accidents that never reached you, betrayals that never touched you, and ambushes that were disarmed before they could even manifest. Psalm 91:11 reminds us, "For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways." Chosen one, you have walked through danger zones unaware, because your calling wrapped you in divine armor. Think back. How many times did something almost happen but didn't? That wasn't coincidence. That was covenant. What takes others out has passed over you, not because you are lucky, but because you are covered. You carry divine immunity, not to boast, but to boldly continue your assignment without fear. The path may be narrow, but it is guarded. The warfare may be fierce, but the victory has already been declared over your life. Look at the life of Corrie ten Boom, who survived the Holocaust and later became a voice of reconciliation and faith. She and her family hid Jews in their home, risking their lives in obedience to God. Though she was imprisoned, she survived where others perished. Her story, like yours, is one of divine protection for divine purpose. Corrie once said, "There is no pit so deep that God's love is not deeper still." That same shield surrounds you. And as you continue walking, another gift begins to emerge, supernatural wisdom. This is not wisdom taught by books or earned through age. This is divine insight. Suddenly, you know things you were never taught. You see solutions in places others only see problems. You discern motives before words are spoken. This is the gift given to chosen ones who remain faithful. James 1:5 says, "If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, and it will be given to you." But you, chosen one, don't even need to ask aloud anymore. Your life of obedience is the request. Your spirit's alignment is the petition. This kind of wisdom is why your counsel carries weight. It's why people are drawn to you for direction, even when you feel uncertain yourself. It's why you've often felt like an old soul in a young body. This insight isn't given just for your survival. It's given for your leadership. You are a lighthouse in fog. Others find clarity because you chose to stay anchored. Albert Schweitzer, Nobel Peace Prize laureate and humanitarian, once described this form of wisdom as reverence for life. He made decisions not from intellect alone, but from divine sensitivity. His medical missions across Africa were born not just of knowledge, but of spiritual clarity. You carry that same current of wisdom, designed not just to inform, but to transform. And from that wisdom flows one of the most extraordinary rewards: impact. Not superficial influence, not fame, not empty recognition, but real, lasting, eternal impact. When you walk in obedience, you become a conduit through which the power of heaven touches earth. You speak, and people are healed. You show up, and atmospheres change. You write, sing, pray, or simply love, and lives are never the same. Acts 5:15 gives us a glimpse of this when it describes how people brought the sick into the streets, just so Peter's shadow might fall on them. The Spirit was so alive in him, it overflowed. Chosen one, you are being prepared for that same overflow, not for your glory, but for the liberation of others. Do you remember how Nelson Mandela, after decades of injustice, emerged not with vengeance but with vision? His forgiveness changed nations. His light carried healing to generations still unborn. That's impact. And though your platform may look different, your influence is not less. The universe is using you as a vessel of freedom, healing, and clarity in a world desperate for all three. And then comes one of the most underestimated but most priceless rewards of all: fulfillment. So many spend their lives chasing things that never satisfy. They run after validation, relationships, status, or comfort, only to feel emptier with every achievement. But you, chosen one, are being led into the rarest treasure, waking each day with purpose and resting each night with peace. Proverbs 19:23 says, "The fear of the Lord leads to life. Then one rests content, untouched by trouble." This fulfillment isn't circumstantial, it's spiritual. It's the soul-deep satisfaction of knowing that you are where you're supposed to be, doing what you were born to do. This is a life that doesn't feel like performance. It feels like alignment. Florence Nightingale, who revolutionized modern nursing, described her calling as a voice calling me to do something beyond myself. She rejected societal pressure and comfort in exchange for purpose and lived a life of unshakable fulfillment. Her sense of divine assignment infused her days with meaning. Yours will too. But perhaps the most beautiful of all divine rewards is legacy. Chosen one, what you build in this season will outlive you. What you speak will echo in generations to come. Your obedience today will water seeds that become forests for others. Isaiah 61:3 speaks of those who will be called oaks of righteousness, a planting of the Lord for the display of His splendor. That is what your life becomes: a sheltering tree, offering covering for those who walk after you. Legacy is not built through titles, it is built through obedience, through quiet moments of prayer, through decisions that no one else sees, through choosing truth when lies would be easier. Every time you say yes to God, a ripple forms in eternity. And those ripples become waves for those who are watching you, even if you don't realize they are. Think of Maya Lin, the designer of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. She was only 21 years old, but her work continues to touch hearts and tell stories decades later. She didn't know her impact would be this deep, but she honored the assignment. You may not see the fullness of your legacy in your lifetime, but rest assured, it is unfolding. You are building something eternal. You are carrying a name that heaven already honors. You are being entrusted with generational restoration, not just for your sake, but for every soul connected to your bloodline and your calling. So, chosen one, as these rewards begin to manifest, peace, protection, wisdom, impact, fulfillment, and legacy, walk with humility, not hesitation. Let every blessing remind you of the one who called you. Let every reward fuel your next act of obedience. You are not striving, you are receiving. You are not proving, you are walking. And as long as you remain faithful, the divine will remain generous. Stay in alignment, stay sensitive, stay aware of the sacred weight you carry, because the next door is already forming, and you're walking straight into divine increase. Chosen by God, do not grow weary. The journey is demanding, yes, but the rewards are certain. Every step you take in alignment with the divine brings you closer to these promises. Keep walking, keep trusting, keep responding to the call. For heaven is watching and the universe is preparing to pour out blessings in your life beyond measure. Stay with me, chosen one. As we continue in the next part, I will give you final prophetic words to empower you as you walk boldly into your fulfillment. Your destiny is unfolding even now. Chosen one, as we come to this final moment together, let me speak to you plainly and with the authority placed upon me. Hear these words not just with your ears, but with your whole spirit. This is not the end of the message. This is your beginning. This is your awakening. What you feel rising in you right now is confirmation from the universe itself. You have been called, chosen by God, and set apart for a purpose that reaches far beyond anything you have yet seen. Now is the time to embrace it fully. No more hesitation, no more doubt, no more second-guessing the signs you have received or the whispers you have heard in quiet moments. The universe has spoken, and it continues to speak because you are crucial to the unfolding of a greater divine plan. You were created for this moment. Everything in your life has been leading you to this revelation. Every trial, every tear, every victory, and even every loss has been shaping you, molding you, preparing you for the day you would fully accept your true identity. Chosen one, lift your head. You have carried burdens that would have crushed ordinary souls. Yet here you are, still standing, still breathing, still moving forward. Do you not see? This is evidence of your divine resilience. It is proof that heaven's hand has been upon you even when you felt alone in the wilderness. You are not weak. You are not forgotten. You are a warrior of light, a vessel of divine purpose. And the universe recognizes you. Declare it today. Embrace it, not with fear, but with fire in your spirit. If you feel this truth anchoring itself inside you, write it in the comments right now. Type boldly, "I embrace my calling as a chosen one." Let this be your public declaration, not for show, but as a spiritual agreement between you and the higher realms. Let heaven see your courage. Let the universe witness your yes. Understand this clearly. Embracing your chosen identity is not about pride. It is about surrender. It is about saying yes to the flow of divine purpose. Yes to the assignments you were born to fulfill. Yes to the path that has been prepared for you since before time began. When you embrace who you are, you unlock the fullness of your destiny. You open the floodgates of divine assistance. Angels move at your side. Doors open that no man can shut. Your steps are ordered, and your impact becomes unstoppable. Chosen by God, the time for waiting has passed. The time for questioning has ended. Now is the time for action, for boldness, for walking in the full authority of your calling. The world needs what you carry. The lost need your light. The weary need your strength. Chosen one, if this message has stirred something deep in your soul, if it has helped you remember who you are, if it has confirmed what your spirit already sensed, I want to thank you for being here. Your time is sacred. Your presence is powerful. And your openness to receive this message is not taken for granted. If you feel led, I invite you to support this divine work through Super Thanks. Your donation, whether large or small, helps us continue spreading these prophetic truths to souls who are still searching, still waking up, still waiting to hear that they too have been chosen. But let me say this clearly from my heart. Whether you donate or not, I am deeply grateful for you. Just by being here, by receiving this message and allowing it to take root in your life, you are already a part of this divine unfolding. So thank you, chosen one. Thank you for walking this journey with me. Thank you for your obedience, for your courage, for your willingness to believe that there is something more and that it's already within you. And now I speak blessings over you. May divine protection continue to shield you. May peace that passes all understanding settle over your life like a holy cloud. May wisdom flood your thoughts and clarity rise in your decisions. May favor go before you and fulfillment follow after you. May your impact ripple far beyond what your eyes can see, and may your legacy outlive your lifetime. You are not walking alone. You are surrounded by light, uplifted by grace, and covered by a promise that cannot be broken. So go forth, chosen one, boldly, bravely, and beautifully. The universe has spoken, heaven has confirmed, and now it is your time. I'll see you in the next revelation. Until then, stay faithful, stay aligned, and above all, stay chosen.